To say that every time I go out to take photos for a photo session, that every time I come back with great photos, to say that would not be correct by a large margin. In fact, to say that even most of the photos that I take are successes would also be incorrect to say. Quite truthfully, only a handful of photos out of all the photos that I take in a certain photo session or in a roll of film, only a couple end up being even decent. You might get one or two that are great, but more often than not, it's gonna be a pretty low ratio of usable images to just garbage. And that's part of the reason why I do the series Snapshot the way that I do. Instead of going out with the intention to make a video and producing photographs around that, I prefer to go out and take photographs and then base a video around the photographs that I deem good enough. This episode can be a lesson to me, a check of my own hubris. 1 week ago I went out to Evansville to see the movie Tenet in IMAX, and while I was out there I decided I would take some photographs and shoot some B-roll and video there, produce an episode of Snapshot around that. What ended up actually happening was I went out and I went to Evansville to see a movie, and the photos were the number 2 priority. I've wanted to see Christopher Nolan's new movie Tenet for almost a year now. When I first found out that Nolan was making a new movie, I, as a Nolan fan and as an avid film buff, obviously wanted to go see it, and knowing that most of it would be in IMAX, I decided I had to see it in IMAX. So for almost a year, my dedication was to go see Tenet in an IMAX theater. 1 week ago, Christopher Nolan's Tenet was released, and I decided to take a trip up to Evansville to go see that film in IMAX. And because I didn't have anything on the lineup for Snapshot, and I didn't really have any ideas, I decided on a whim that I was going to go and take the 4K camera, take my Pentax K1000 and photograph around Evansville and photograph in those areas, just to fill in, and maybe I'll get something usable. Now, 2 days before I went to see Tenet, I hit a deer. When you live in the South, that happens. I mean, you will hit a deer in your life if you live in the South. I hit a deer, and that basically put my car entirely out of commission. So, I had to take the van, which is not an easy driver, let me just say that. And I took the family minivan all the way up 2 hours there and 2 hours back to Evansville, Indiana, to the nearest IMAX theater to see Tenet. The trip began, and as I usually do when I film videos, I broke out the 4K camera while I was driving down the freeway and filmed some B-roll looking through the windshield. When you're in my neck of the woods, my preferred radio station is 102.5, but once you get to about West Marshall, you lose that signal, and basically at that point, already 20 minutes into the drive, I didn't even have a radio station that I could listen to that I recognized. So still in a land and on roads that I've never been to before, unfamiliar with the territory, still wondering if this was even worth it, not even knowing if the film was going to be worth seeing in IMAX. I mean, who knows? Still knowing that, I periodically broke out the 4K camera that I used to film videos and kept filming B-roll through the windshield of my car and at various stops that I had along the way to get to Evansville. So after all that, I actually go to a nearby gas station to fill up, buy a couple snacks and such. I took a couple photos here and there, and they're solid 5 out of 10s. Nothing special, nothing to write home about. They are perfectly mediocre photos. I'm taking these photos and my head is not in the right place. I'm extremely rushed. And not to say that I don't ever take photos fast-paced, because I certainly do. I mean, I take photos around the school at football games, for goodness sake. I'm no stranger to fast-paced documentary-style photographing. But that's just the thing. Documentary photographing. But that's not what I was doing. I was trying to take the same kind of photos that I took at the Deluxe Inn, or at Sportsman's Bait and Tackle. I was trying to take photos that require forethought and planning and pre-visualization and careful composition. I was trying to take those photos in the same style that I take my other photos that don't require those things. The result are these photographs. Photographs that are way too wide. They're not compositionally interesting. They don't really offer much. The main point of the photo, the main point of this photo, the sign, I mean, it's so far away you can't even see it. I wasn't thinking the way I should have to take these photos. After a pretty uneventful drive, I finally pull into Evansville, and after a few wrong turns...
85, and for Monday, Labor Day, sunny and a high around 88. It's the weekend!
I missed that turn. Whoopsie. And a quick lunch visit to Panda Express.
Thank you for choosing Panda. Can I interest you in a lunch chicken today?
No thank you. Can I get two entrees, please?
And do you mean like a plate, or do you mean
yes, yeah.
Plate? Okay, sweet. What's your size for the plate? They're the rice and the noodles.
Oh, I don't, no sides, please.
No sides? Okay, we'll just for your two entrees.
Can I have the, honey walnut shrimp and the orange...
$1.25 upcharge, is that okay?
Huh?
It has a $1.25 upcharge, is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Sweet. And then you said one chicken for your second one?
Yes.
What else can I get for you today?
That's it, thank you.
No appetizers, drinks?
No, thank you.
$9.77.
Alright, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Oh my gosh. Oh, I did not see that the camera fell. Now, after all that, I pull into the IMAX theater, the Showplace Cinema, which screams 80s, just the font, everything. It was a nice place, and there were plenty of good compositions to be had in this area, don't get me wrong. However, as I said, this video is not about me having a successful photo session. I get out and I see a nearby store that I think is interesting, and I frame it up a little bit and I take the photo. I see another small business, a little car wash place, and I decide to take a photograph of that. Now after that, I think to myself, alright, I've gotten enough photos for here. Again, not even thinking carefully about composition or thinking about lighting. Where should I be standing? What should I be doing for this photograph? Not even thinking about that, I put the camera back in the car and walk in to see Christopher Nolan's Tenet. Now, the silver lining in the story is that Tenet was a very good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. And trust me, seeing it in the IMAX theater is not going to be the last time that I see it. And to all the people who are yelling at me right now for going in a dangerous place given the circumstances now a movie theater, let me just say, it was me and about 2 other dudes in the entire theater. We were all wearing masks, so do not worry. We were following all the precautions. There was more than enough room to social distance. We were all wearing masks, so it's okay. Don't worry about that. So the movie ends, and I walk out and walk into my van, and I realize that I only have maybe 3 or 4 photographs taken so far in the can. And I decide I probably should step up my game a little bit. And despite that, I only took 2 more photographs after I left the theater on the way home. One, I was still in Evansville, and it was actually just as I was about to turn off onto the highway to go home. It's a small little auto body shop, and the photo, again, it's not bad, but it's not great. I definitely needed to devote more time. In fact, I didn't even get out of my car to take this photo. This was another photo that I shot through the windshield. Compositionally, it's not too bad. It's not like there's a clutter of information, and it's somewhat similar to what I'd do if I would go there again and dedicate a whole photo shoot there. But still, it just doesn't have the energy that I'm looking for. It doesn't have the time and dedication that I put into it that I should have. So I basically drive about 90 minutes back towards where I live, and right as I pull into a gas station I walk out of the gas station, walk out the door, and I look and I see a subject. And this actually ended up being one of the only photographs that I'm actually decently proud of. And it was the last photograph of the night. I saw a motel sign over what's clearly not a motel. It looks like a garage. And I saw that composition and I thought it was interesting. I saw there was a little lamp post and that sort of curved around the corner, the top corner of the building, and I thought that was interesting. I saw the motel sign, and I saw the irony in it. I saw the humor in it, and that's something that I want to do. One of the things I've emphasized so much on this channel is finding things that are out of place, things that stand out, things that seem like they should not be where they are. And so right before I left to finish the journey home, I snapped a couple photos, and actually these are probably the best photos of that whole session on the way and back from Evansville. Now, I've only recently developed these photos, and I processed them, hung them up, dried, put them in the sleeves, and made a contact sheet, and that's sort of when it hit me that I didn't have nearly what I thought I had in the beginning. I looked at the contact sheet, and I looked at the initial scans, and I knew that this was a reality check for me, that I was getting a check in hubris. And if there's anything that I've learned, it's that I don't really do well, and I don't really know of anyone who can do well trying to rush a photograph. You really can't do it, especially with a composition that needs time and forethought to take. My problem was I was trying to take the photographs that usually take days to plan and photograph them in the same way that I take, snapshots of my life, snapshots of my school, and snapshots of friends, photos that I take of my family at the lake, photos that I take of my friends at the park or at football games. I was trying to apply that mentality to photos that did not need that mentality. They needed more care. They needed more effort. They needed more thought to them. And that was my mistake. And that's something I wanted to share with you guys. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to Snapshot, my photograph series. I know this was a very different type of video. You didn't even see my face. I wanted to make sure that it was very in the moment and much more narrative during this video. Maybe if you like that, maybe you don't. Maybe you like the normal way. Maybe you like this way better. Who knows? Leave a comment down below. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow me on here. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Servanov, Servanov. That is my photography account. In fact, a lot of the photos that you see on this channel, I also have posted onto Instagram. Also, be sure to follow my other Instagram account at Sergey_speaks. Don't forget also to follow me on Spotify, The Sound of Sergey. That is my solo podcast. It comes out every Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure to subscribe to that on Spotify. Thank you so much for supporting me and watching these videos. And I will see you next week.